Inflation is costing the typical Nevada family $845 a month. These aren't my numbers. These are numbers from the people that do the numbers in Washington, and they try and make them as good as possible. You know that, meaning low. So when you see that, it's over $1,000 probably a month already. It's $10,000 a year and probably a lot higher than that nationwide. 26 million low-income American families have had their entire life savings completely obliterated. Thank you very much to the Biden administration.
Inflation is perhaps the most insidious tax ever invented. It is a phenomenon that washes away your store of value, money. It is single-handedly responsible for many people's declining living standards. But do you understand what it is? This is the Whispers edition on inflation.
There may be a lot of issues at stake in this election, but the basic question, the fundamental question that you should be asking yourself right now is who will fight for you? Who cares about you? Who sees you? Who believes in you? That's the choice in this election. Who will fight? Who will fight for working people who are struggling to pay their bills? Listen. Inflation is a real problem right now. And by the way, it's not just here in America, it's worldwide. It's one of the legacies of the pandemic. So the laws of supply and demand got messed up and wreaked havoc on supply chains. And then you have a war in Ukraine.
In 1730, Irish-French economist Richard Cantillon wrote a magnificent paper titled Essai sur la nature du commerce en général, put simply means Essay on the Nature of Commerce, outlining what is today regarded as inflation. Being a successful trader, he observed that commodity prices skyrocketed due to an increase in the supply of money vis-a-vis the supply of commodities. This phenomenon is called the Richard Cantillon effect. In simple terms, inflation is regarded as a situation whereby the prices of commodities rapidly rise. It is a situation that is attributed to several factors. The most common factor is when the supply of money outpaces the goods and services available. Money per se is useless, but what makes money helpful is the fact that it can be used to purchase goods and services. The government printing money is blamed for this type of inflation. The only country in the world with a carte blanche of printing money with little repercussions, if any, is the United States of America. It then unwittingly floods the international market with dollars, which induces inflation, making poor countries poorer. Several countries have tried this, and the consequences have weighed on them massively. After attaining independence from its erstwhile colonizer Britain, Zimbabwe was predominantly prosperous. A relatively arable country, the vast parcels of land were in the hands of the European elite, much to the chagrin of Africans. Under the late firebrand Robert Gabriel Mugabe, the government ratified a treaty with Margaret Thatcher's government that the UK government was to incentivize the Zimbabwe government's efforts in purchasing land from these Europeans and redistributing land to people with low incomes. Both governments played their roles diligently concerning this deal, but immediately after Thatcher left number 10, the new administration of Tony Blair trashed the deal. Harare responded with calls for forceful eviction of the European settlers. Africans with little knowledge of how to do large-scale farming were left with vast parcels of land, and what followed was a biting shortage of commodities. A country once touted as Africa's food basket was clutching on a straw, and the government ended up printing a $1 trillion note to help settle bills. In Zimbabwe, we got to witness people buying a loaf of bread with a sack full of notes.
You know what? I asked God to make me a billionaire. Instead of that, God made me a trillionaire.
Sam, what was the figure for the soap again? 9 trillion?
To call somebody, it costs $200 million. To text a message is $40 million. So to have enough airtime, you need something like 100 billion, which is somebody's salary for a month.
160 billion plus 9,980 billion. It's too much. We've not enough.
I think people will be moving around with wheelbarrows, carrying some money with wheelbarrows, going to buy a loaf of bread.
This served as a reminder that inflation can never be solved by printing money. Instead, it is solved by the production of goods and services. Inflation undoubtedly passes over one of the most undesirable occurrences, generational poverty. Inflation distorts prices of complex assets such as houses and land, making it unreachable for the middle class and lower class, who comprise 99.9% of the population. This ensures they remain servants to the system that doesn't want them alleviated from the shackles of poverty. Unless your income is being adjusted, inflation makes you poorer as each second sloughs off. So, as you meander through the labyrinth crafted by the system, it is imperative to be alive to the fact that inflation can be kept at bay through activities such as investing in hard assets and stock markets. However, this does not automatically mean that you will win the war.
Whether you can sustain your debt depends on your ability to pay. But your ability to pay also depends on your lifestyle choices. The situation we are in is one where you ask a question, is it your debt which is not sustainable, or is it your lifestyle? And my position that it's the lifestyle. If you think about it from a personal perspective, if you're living beyond your means, you have debt, perhaps what you should do is move house. You might even say, why do you have two cars? You need to have one car, perhaps even use public transport. I will be articulating the argument that we have a lifestyle problem.
What is evident to all and sundry is that the economy stares at an abyss. It is up to every individual to devise ways and means to stay afloat. For the Whispers, I am Dennis Savatia.